Abel Tesfaye, aka The Weeknd, has been one of the most popular and talked about artists of the 2010s. From his first mixtape, House of Balloons, he created his own sound of dark, moody, and atmospheric R&B that would become a staple in his discography. He would replicate this to create Trilogy and continue it even further with Kissland. Eventually, he began incorporating elements of pop into his albums, releasing Beauty Behind the Madness, the album that pushed him into the mainstream eye. That pop influence would be even more present on Starboy, probably his most upbeat and fun project front to back. Then there was the detour of My Dear Melancholy, a sort of callback to what had first put Abel on the map, with a focus on a darker and claustrophobic atmosphere. I enjoy all of these releases, but I think a lot of people would agree that The Weeknd's most recent album is his strongest. In my opinion, After Hours is a perfect blend of all the strengths of The Weeknd, whether it be catchy hooks, impressive vocal performances, or balancing dark and light tones. After Hours is a special experience. What I'd like to talk about today is the story that After Hours creates in our heads as we listen, and the tragic lesson that we must learn from it. Every project made by Abel contains a character within it, and I believe that the one within After Hours is the most complex, compelling, and flawed. It is also the one that we can learn the most from. Before I start, I would like to say one last thing. I understand that Abel incorporates a lot of his problems and experiences in real life into his music. However, I will be talking about this album solely in the context of the character in the music itself. Basically, I will be looking at how the details relate to the protagonist in After Hours, not what they say or hint about Abel's life. This is not to discredit that or anything. I think it would just make the video more concise and focused. However, I will still refer to the character as The Weeknd and Abel. Okay, I think I've said everything I needed to, so let's begin. The first 6 tracks on After Hours paint a story of a man fed up with his life and the person that he has become. In the opening track, Alone Again, The Weeknd is in Las Vegas. This setting will be prevalent throughout the entire album. He has realized that he has been living a lie and is searching for his true self. In the song, he uses several examples of methods that he is trying to use to discover that old person. Location, Las Vegas, time, the night, money, and girls. In addition, he says that he cannot succeed if he is alone. However, in my opinion, the way you truly find yourself is by being alone and not the methods The Weeknd describes. He's doing this out of desperation. A line I like to point out here is "Together We're Alone." This line is important and will come up in 2 other songs. I think here it can mean 2 things. On one hand, it can mean that he, deep down, realizes that he does not enjoy the company of the girl he is referring to, and that by being together, it amplifies the feeling of loneliness. But on the other hand, it can mean that he feels like he and this girl need to be together, and by doing so, completely shut out the rest of the world. This confliction continues on the next song, Too Late, where Abel questions whether the time has passed when he can change and become better. He is realizing his mistakes with the girl, and is also fed up with his surroundings. He describes the place as a hell, masked as a paradise with flashing lights. However, in the second half of the song, Abel acknowledges that he still wants this girl, even though he knows that he should give her up and cut the relationship off. These 2 songs create the dilemma where Abel wants to give up his identity, but at the same time is struggling with giving up the things associated with that person: the city, the drugs and alcohol, and the girl. The relationship becomes the focus in the following track, Hardest to Love. In it, Abel admits the toxicity of the relationship and admits that he has been a hard person to love. Additionally, he can tell that the girl is trying to break it off as well and is starting to realize that maybe this relationship is better off ending. The final push comes in Scared to Live, where Abel is pushing the girl to stop pursuing him and find someone else to love, and in the process, find herself. In addition, Abel explains that he is not the man he used to be. This could be relating to the fact that he has accepted the 2 need to end the relationship in order to grow. He acknowledged that he was not good for her. Now, it is Abel's turn to run, and we get the 2 tracks, Snow Child and Escape from LA, which build onto each other. Snow Child acts as almost an origin story chronicling how Abel had come to this point, while Escape from LA is the present where he is fed up with the lifestyle of LA and specifically the girls, and has decided that he needs to get out of LA in order to fix himself. But unfortunately, we will come to realize that he is not running in the right direction. While Abel was trying to erase the person that he had become and let go of the things that had made him who he was in the first part of After Hours, in the next, Abel has completely retracted that and is now embracing the toxic side within him. The next 3 songs, Heartless, Faith, and Blinding Lights, are very fluent and paint a picture of a power trip of flashing lights, alcohol, drugs, and women. So first, let's talk about Heartless. In this track, Abel is back to his old ways and embracing all of the temptation around him. And in the process of doing so, he has completely forgotten what he was trying to do earlier. He was trying to let go of all these things, but now has given in. And the thing is, he enjoys it. He realizes that this is actually what made him the way he is in the first place, and he doesn't care. These themes of self-destruction continue on the next track, Faith, where Abel openly admits that he has lost faith in himself to change. And nothing is more telling than this line, "Thought I'd be a better man, but I lied to me and to you." Where at one point he was trying to run away from these temptations, Abel is now willingly giving in to them and is using his surroundings to blind himself from the dark reality that he is falling deeper and deeper into, which follows right into the next track, Blinding Lights, a high-paced track where Abel continues to admit that he loves the life he has. The lights around him blind him from the fact that he has completely regressed back into the person that he wanted to lose, wanted to run away from. And you realize that the vices that had made Abel into the person he didn't like, he was not willing to give up, and therefore is back to his old self. The only thing he needs now is the girl. The final tracks in After Hours will reveal the tragic fate of Abel to us as the night comes to a close. Picture this. After traveling through the city for a period of time, Abel stumbles into a room and there she is, the girl. After going back to his old ways, Abel now realizes that he wants to be with this girl again and is willing to do whatever he can to do so. We then get Save Your Tears, where Abel is pleading with this girl to take him back, and even though he acknowledges that she deserves someone better, he doesn't care. He still wants her because she is the final piece of the puzzle to completely regress back to his old self and complete this cycle of self-destruction. And as I said, he is willing to do anything, which he does. On the next track, Repeat After Me, he manipulates her, forcing her to say that she does not love another person, but that she loves him. Again, not taking into account her feelings, but only really focusing on himself, fully embracing that toxic persona that he admitted to earlier on the album. We then get After Hours, which is almost Abel losing touch of reality. He is now falling down this abyss, and in an effort of desperation, he is playing with this girl to save him and be his rescue when he needs her most. The final track on the album, Until I Bleed Out, brings the story that we have been discussing to a close. In it, Abel is crying out to us, telling us that he is fed up with this cycle that he has been on, and he so desperately wants to get out of his situation. But the problem is, he's been manipulating us this whole time. While at one point in the beginning, he was showing us that he wanted to improve himself and escape all of the temptations of the night, by the middle of the album, he was completely feeding into it and giving in. And now, while I want to believe that he doesn't need it anymore, as he says in the final lines, I don't think that's true. I think that he is doomed to repeat this process of trying to let go of everything that has made him the way he is, only to give in by the time the night is up. So, after listening to After Hours, I think we can learn its lesson by looking at Abel's greatest flaw. He went searching for a better version of himself, only to be sucked right back into the environment that had created the version he was running from in the first place. It shows us that he was not willing to give up the things that had created this identity. And by the end, everything feels like a dream. He doesn't remember how he got there and is only destined to repeat the process when the next night comes. I want you to take this away. If you want to change, you first have to figure out what led you to the state of discontent. And once you have done that, you have to let go of all those aspects of your life. If you're not willing to do that, then you will never change and be forever locked into a cycle of self-destruction and misery.